I've got a secret. I've got a secret.
And that is
Dang it,
super
sorry.
top secret. And so you decided to write Shelter Dogs to give a voice to animals who are looking for their, we say, in this house, we say
Forever home. That was the most terrifying yet exhilarating experience of my life.
Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Shafer of Talks with Dr. Shafer. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a physician, mom, coach, musician, author, publisher, and I am passionate about helping others reclaim their stories so they can build their most beautiful future. And today I have an inspiring young person on Talks with Dr. Shafer that I know quite well who is going to share her story, how she's been inspiring and helping others through storytelling, as well as all of the exciting things she has coming up. I would love to introduce my inspiring daughter, Amelie Anastasia. Amelie is a 12-year-old who is no stranger to inspiring and helping others. Amelie started out as a philanthropist and author at the age of 8. She wrote her first book, Fox Tales, which we have here for people who are watching our episode, at the age of 8, and she started that book as a fundraiser for her school. She then wrote Fox Tales 2, and I can remember one fateful evening when she turned to me and told me that it wasn't enough to just be fundraising with Fox Tales for her school, that she wanted to do more, specifically for the characters in her book that had given her so much through writing about them that she wanted to give back to them. A lover of nature and animals her entire life, she did just that. She wrote not only Fox Tales 2 and Wolf Tales, which she has donated a significant portion of the proceeds towards her long-term goal of creating a wildlife preserve for animals like the characters in her book here where we live in northern Michigan. Now, in summer 2026, Amelie is going to be releasing her 4th book, which is called Shelter Dogs and is a fundraiser for animal shelters across the country. Amelie, thank you so much for coming on Talks with Dr. Shafer for the first time and sharing this inspiring journey that you've been on. I can't wait to hear more about what inspired you to start writing your books, what it's been like along the way, and what this next project is about.
Thank you so much for having me, Mom. It's such an exciting night to be here with you and talk about shelter dogs and foxtails and all that follows.
Amelie, where should we start? What do you think is the natural place to start? Should we start with the first 3 books, or should we start with where you are now? What feels right to you?
Let's start with where everything began.
Okay, so how did your writing journey begin? Is that what began for you, storytelling and writing? Where did this journey begin for you?
That is like the last place that I ended up at that time. Of course I ended up there, but it was like the very end of that chapter. It started when a family of foxes moved into our yard, and I remember like looking out our window and bird watching, but then we happened to see a couple of lucky foxes, and we're just taking pictures of them and oohing and awing and just and it was so adorable, and I loved having them around. Their den, like, very close to our house.
Just a lot away,
Yeah.
literally. Mm-hmm.
And we would never go looking for it, but you knew that it was close because you could hear them and see them through our window, that's crazy.
Especially at night.
Yeah.
I remember hearing them barking. And we had a dog at the time who was our first shelter dog, Roxy, and she would get quite upset at night when she would hear the mom barking.
I haven't had my coffee yet.
Oh, is that what she was thinking?
Yes.
I can relate to that. I can.
I know.
So you heard and saw the fox kids. First, we saw the fox, and then one day we saw the 4 fox kids coming out of their den.
That's my favorite part of the story. Like, it was so weird because there was 2 adult foxes. One was male and one was female. And I didn't notice that she was pregnant or weight gain or anything. Then one day, the male just disappeared, like gone, like poof, disappeared into thin air. And then like a month or so later, I guess, we saw the female fox again, and we hadn't seen her for like a good few weeks because she would only come out very little now. And then instead of her coming out with her male or her coming out alone, she came out. And then this was a total surprise because I had never expected her to have kids, or at least I guess I had always pictured her as the fox and the fox, not the fox and one, two, three, oh, four kids.
It's a big responsibility to go from one solo fox to now you're taking care of 4 others and yourself. And so that experience of seeing the mama and her 4 babies inspired you to come up with a story. And I know you as someone who lives with you and gets to hear about all the storyboarding you do in your head with different stories. I know a lot of stories live in your head. You were homeschooling at the time. It was 2nd grade, and I remember you came to me one day, and we were talking about we had the things that we had to do in the state that we live in that we had to do, for schooling, but then we also had some ability to craft your school year to what you wanted, and one day you came to me and said you wanted to write a book. So tell me about what made you decide to take that story and put it on paper?
I had a lot of support from family and close friends. But I had a lot of cheerleaders. I was very lucky. You were my top cheerleader, though. I always wanted to give something back. I remember my first donation to anything ever was to the Little Traverse Bay Humane Society, $5 downtown at Bear Cub, I think.
Yeah, Bear Cub here in Petoskey, which is it's an outfitter store. So people who are visiting in the summer, a great place to stop and get essentials or get something special for yourself. So you were there and you had money, and instead of buying something for yourself, you decided to put it in the little Traverse Bay Humane Society jar that they had there at the checkout, which so many businesses in town have, which is fantastic. A cause that is near and dear to us and has been for many years. You were actually born with a shelter dog in the family, and she knew that you were coming, I think, probably before I did. I can remember distinctly, she was this big black dog, and she would always jump up on me, and she stopped jumping up on me. She knew you were coming. And then when you were born, I remember she was a big 90-pound dog, and of course, we were very careful introducing the 2 of you, but she already knew you, and we would take you, out of the car and put you down before getting you out of your, little car seat, and she would be right there sitting in front of you, and then she would lay down. It was her job to protect you. So you had a shelter dog in your life for since the very beginning, and you had such a wonderful relationship with her, and once you started walking, she would even be there for that too, to support you, and watch you when you crawled. It was just amazing having her in your life. So you've always had such a close relationship with animals.
She was funny too so she was really good about not stealing socks and shoes and stuff, or toys especially. But when she found something she liked, you will never see it again.
It's hers.
I still Prince, our dog now, Prince. He's the weirdest dog. He's a mix between a pug and a Bernie.
Half and half.
Yeah, I worry. He came back outside. This was like a month ago. I forgot to tell you. And he came back with one of my Clifford the Big Red Dog stuffies, and I was like, so that's where that went, because there was a huge hole in the yard,
Mm.
and I guess he had smelled like Roxy's fur or something underground, and he had just dug it up. I never knew she was much of a digger.
Well, she would take something, and when she took something, it was funny when she decided, because she wouldn't steal your toys, but about 3 or 4 times in her whole life, we had her for over a decade. So when she decided something was hers, she'd get a little funny around it, kind of paying too much attention, but stealth in a stealthy way. And then I remember seeing her like walk very stealthily like a cat, coming towards its prey and
And it's like
take it slowly in her mouth and
and it's like, Roxy, you're giant, you're black, and you're walking into a white carpeted, white walled room. You're not invisible.
she was pretty sure that her technique was good. So she would steal toys and take them. You've had this beautiful relationship with animals from the very beginning, not afraid of them,
Never,
and
never.
just so caring about animals and wanting to help them. So then you started writing, and I remember So for me, what my role was as your teacher that year in school, and then as your typist when you were dictating your first tale, Fox Tales, which was a compilation book actually, because we didn't know we were going to do other books. So we put
I
actually 2 books in one.
I thought we were going to do just like a bunch of very short stories in one. And the reason that we called it foxtails, we were going to make it plural. Well, it is plural, grammar issue, but 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 plural in a different way. Foxtails is kind of like a metaphor.
The thing that really invigorated me being your typist and hearing you go through this, the first book took about 2 weeks for you to dictate it for me and to type it. It was quite fast. And you didn't want to stop, by the way. The first, I think, because it was really 2 books in one, we got through the first book maybe even in a day or two. And then you had more of a story to tell. So then we tightened it up at the end. But the thing that I always recognized in your writing that amazed me because you were 8 when you started this process, and then 9 with Foxtails 2, and then 10 with Wolf Tales. You were so good at remembering these little details because this world lived in your head and then calling back to it in later books or in parts of the book in really funny, engaging ways. That's one thing that I always noticed from the beginning about your writing. And then something that is really unique and so important for authors to do. You do something that a lot of authors are afraid to do, but it's necessary to write a good book. You allow your characters to be something other than just quote unquote good. You allow them to have full personalities, right?
Like the dark side.
Yeah, like they can be sassy and rude and a little bit scary, right? They can go through all these emotions and then they can also be kind and funny and sarcastic. They can be this entire human being. How does that come so easily to you to allow your characters to be themselves?
I don't know. It's like, so this is actually something I've never talked about ever, not on press or on TV or with friends or you or other parents or anybody. I sort of base them off of connections or conversations that I've had before. Like every conversation, this is necessary. It always has a red flag. It always has good signs and bad signs. It always has that, oh, but it also has that made my day. Like every conversation has a million different sections in it that kind of remind me of my characters.
Hmm. I'm also hearing so if in one conversation with someone that you like, if you also understand that there are gonna be awkward moments, or maybe they might, we say, put their foot in their mouth, right? They may say something that they're like, "Oh, I wish I didn't say that," or, "I hope they didn't take that the wrong way," or, "Oh," you know, whatever the things that we do when we're conversing every day and maybe get in our head, right? And then we think about it later. You're just allowing them to exist in this way where there isn't any shame. These and that's one beautiful thing about having animals as characters. They're not going to the den at night and thinking all night about what they said, right? They're kinda like, "Yeah, I'm a fox. Maybe this went wrong. Let's keep going. We gotta get prey. We gotta stay safe," right? They move on.
Dang, I totally failed that test.
Exactly, they don't worry about that. How thinking about that and how you allow your characters to do that, how can you reflect on that as your own person going about life? You're a middle schooler now, and again, we're all learning every day, right? We're making mistakes, we're learning new things. How can you reflect on how you framed the way your characters think and then how you think as a kid?
That's difficult. So it's kind of full circle. So in the books, it sort of relates to natural conversations. But I feel like when I'm having natural conversations, it relates to the book. Like if someone was reading this is kind of a reaction they would have. This is kind of how it feels. It's the same emotion if someone was reading what you're saying that you're having. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if somebody was reading a book that had every conversation you've ever had in it, chances are the same emotion that you feel in that moment, they're going to feel it too.
Mm.
It's every thought I feel like is relatable in a way and unrelatable in a way. And I feel like that's beautiful.
It serves you in one moment. Maybe it's not serving you in this moment, but you can read the story again. Every time you read a story, it's a new experience, depending upon where you are in your story. And now I know, Amelie, not only do you write books and you advocate for animals, for wildlife, for conservation of the land on which they live. So you had a goal that was created, like we said at the beginning of the show, when you came out with Foxtails 2 after Foxtails, and then carried through with your third book, Wolf Tales, you had the goal of raising funds to create a wildlife preserve. Why is that so important to you?
I remember the night I brought it up to you. It was wearing dolphin face paint.
It's on our social media because it's the cutest video in the
No
world.
one looked that up.
It's beautiful.
Please.
It's so beautiful.
No, but I was just like, I have bedhead, and I'm just like, I have a dolphin across my face.
But you had a dream.
I did. And I needed to record that dream.
So when you shared your dream, why is it so important to you to fundraise for what you call the happy place, the place that you want to create as a wildlife conservation where humans can't actually go? It's just for animals. Animals like the characters in your books because they live where we live in northern Michigan. Why is that so important to you?
I think people naturally assume that everybody owns a piece of land. And yes, if you buy a piece of land, it's yours. But at the same time, you couldn't be more wrong. Like, there are billions of bugs under a mile of dirt. There's 100 birds for every 80 trees. There's a lot more than we think there is on the land that we own. And I know that everybody hears this a lot, but we don't own anything. We kind of just show up and we're just like, mine, 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 mine. We're seagulls, honestly. We're just like, mine, mine. Yeah, Nemo.
Nemo seagulls.
Mine. And then later, everybody is like fighting over this one piece of land that doesn't belong to you in the first place. It's like it's like triplets. So picture, I'm not, if there are triplets watching this, like I'm not picking on you or anything. This is just an example. So if two triplets go into the third triplet's room and they see that the triplet is holding like a stuffed animal, like let's say a capybara. To those who don't know, just assume it's a teddy bear. And they take the teddy bear from them without asking. They're just disregarding them completely. And then they're just like, this is mine now. But then the other triplet starts fighting over them. That's humanity. We are constantly fighting over something that belongs to someone who is completely disregarded. And that might seem a little harsh, but it's 100% true.
So wanting to return more of the land back to nature and acknowledging that this isn't our land. We're guests here and we're supposed to be sharing it with one another. That's really beautiful. So you wrote the 3 books about wildlife. And of course, ongoing sales, ongoing efforts to create the wildlife preserve. You even had a discussion, I think it was last week, with our local DNR. And who else did you talk to? Our conservancy. Yeah. Our little Traverse Conservancy. You spoke to a representative from there too about potentially, where would be a good place to get land for your future animal reserve. So that's so fun that you're not just talking about it, you're having conversations with adults who know how to do these things. And that's the thing that really inspires me also about what you do, because not only do you do the thing, right? We talk about this a lot on Talks with Dr. Shafer. There's making the decision to do something, there's doing the thing, and then there's what comes next. And that's being brave enough to share the thing, to fight for the thing, to give it the life that it deserves through promoting it and sharing it with the world. And then there's a next step that's really exciting for teachers, right? Which doctors are teachers. There's so many people that love teaching, and you're one of those people. You don't just say, okay, I did the thing, on to the next. You were so inspired by your experience talking about nature, talking about your work as an author, that you wanted to support other young authors in sharing their stories. Why was that so important to you?
I know so many people who are on the same mission as me, and I know so many people who are on a mission that I don't understand. And I know people who don't understand my mission. And I feel like at first that kind of feels like a dagger to the heart when like you know all about this thing and you try and spread it and you're just like, have you heard of this? And then somebody goes, no. It's it feels kind of painful, but then again, that's the reason you're spreading it. And everybody's trying to do that. So I feel like I'm trying to take away that dagger to the heart feeling when no one knows what you're talking about.
Mm.
And it's kind of it's really inspirational to see all these kids like younger, as the same age as me, doing all of these amazing things, cleaning up beaches.
That made you feel a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm still in 6th grade, guys, okay?
Yeah, yeah. We'll take a moment. Well, I am so inspired by everything you've done. Are there things that you've learned that made you feel sad? And also, are there things that you've learned that made you feel hopeful in the process of writing your books and sharing your stories with the world?
Something that made me feel sad, I was at a museum of natural history once, and we entered a wildlife preservancy section, and it said, "If you don't believe us, watch and see." And it showed a picture, and um, it said species gone extinct since 8 in the morning, and it had 44 species on it, and it was like completely heartbreaking.
Yeah, yeah. And what is something that has made you feel hopeful along the way?
I know that like social media gets a bad rap. I mean, it's not exactly helping everything. It's a good way to get things out though. My friend was talking to me about wildlife conservancy because that's normal 6th grade talk, right guys?
In your world.
Right? I'm hopeful. That's what I'm hopeful about,
Yeah.
that I'm normal. I'm not, and I'm proud of that. But but we were talking about that, and she goes, "After school, meet me at the flagpole, and I will show you something amazing that I found." There was this online group, and with YouTube kid groups, it's usually like challenges or prank videos or something like that. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I just don't watch them very frequently. But my friend showed me this video of a squad of kids they were going to beaches, and they took a microphone, and of course the speaker on the microphone were completely ruined and trashed after this. But they set it down just completely on the sand, and they were just like, "Forgot to bring a towel, guys. It's okay." Right? And and they set it down, and they started screaming into the microphone about like in 5 minutes we're starting a beach cleanup. We already have 12 people. Everybody counts. It's only 10 minutes. We're just gonna go to the farthest dune and back, and if you got 5 pieces of trash by the time you get back, you'll win so and so and so. And I think it was like a tote bag or something that said "I saved a turtle," and but they were called the Painted Turtle Squad, and they were saving painted turtles. So their main focus was like marshes and swamps, but they did the beach that day. So yeah,
Hmm.
it was really beautiful.
So that made you feel hopeful about choices kids are making, right? And that's something that you've talked about when you were promoting your first 3 books, especially Foxtails 2 and Wolf Tales, because you actually traveled the country talking about these books, talking about encouraging other young people to share their voices and talking about how we can be good stewards of wildlife conservation, helping our furry friends in the animal world. What was that experience like? You were 10 years old, crossing the country. You were on California Live on NBC. You got to sit in the voice chair, which was really fun. You were out in DC on Fox 5. You got to meet incredible people when you did the Kidlit TV spot, including Craig Melvin from NBC, who I know you really looked up to, the way he held himself and spoke to people, and you were really inspired by that. He was there because he had a children's book out too, and he was really encouraging, as well as Joe Schmidt and his book, The Right Thing to Do, which is now a musical, which we promised we were gonna go out to Minneapolis to see. I hope we can go see it before it's off, the stage because, yeah, so amazing. So we met so many people who really inspired you on this journey. What was the process of being on a book tour like at the age of 10 years old?
First of all, excruciatingly exhausting. I mean, it was airplane, 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 hotel bed. And I mean, it was amazing. I don't think I've ever traveled that much in 48 hours. I mean, it was like we would literally fly there, get my makeup on, go to the TV station, or sleep and then go to the TV station, and then catch a flight and leave and do the same thing. And it was so crazy. I mean, I mean, I love talking to people and being on TV and stuff. Do not get me wrong, but I was pretty scared. Like every time we went on, I would kind of like shrank a little bit. I was very shy. I would be a little quiet. Thank God for microphones. And I don't think I'm as quiet anymore, as shy, but still I get that like knot in my throat. Like I have that right now. I always have it. I don't know why.
Amelie, I think so. Our listeners, I hope you will go and watch her interviews. They're on her Instagram, which is at Amelie Anastasia Writing, as well as at amelieanastasia.com. Watch the clips because I think it's actually a masterclass in learning to do the thing scared. Because even when you feel scared and you feel maybe not prepared or nervous, watch Amelie. Watch her clips, watch her interviews. They are stunning and beautiful, so well communicated. She was 10 and she didn't take any classes on how to be on air. We were blessed to be asked by a local TV station one day for her to come and talk about Foxtails 2. And after she was on the air, she literally, we were about to go on stage, and I was dressed to go up with her. Not that I had been on television before for many years. I had done a music career many, many moons before, but it had been a long time. But I was prepared to go on stage with her because she was 10 years old. And she was getting mic'd and she turned to me. They were about to mic me. And she said, "Hey, mom, do you
Mom, can
mind?
you like stay here?
Mom, you just said, and you were so sweet about it, but you said, Mom, can I do this on my own?" And I said, "Yeah, you got this." I don't even know that we had really practiced for this one because we didn't know what they were going to ask you. Sometimes when you go to a TV station, there's a list of things, topics that they may or may not talk about. You may prepare for those topics and they may go completely in a different direction,
Oh,
which is
we practiced, but we
exciting.
practiced like what we thought they were gonna ask us, and then it was completely different. And I was like answering the answers I knew to the questions we had practiced, and they were just like, "Okay, but the question though," and I was just like, I didn't rehearse. Can we take a rain check?"
You learned so much and you came off of the little stage and they were so lovely. They took pictures with you after and made a big deal. Eric Brazil, who's a lovely lifestyle anchor,
Oh, he was so.
reports, yeah, and who's also a big animal advocate. So, he took a picture with you and made a big thing about how he knew you were going to do great things, and he wanted you to see, like, "Hey, I want a picture with this kid because she's gonna do amazing things." And I think, when we can do that for someone else, when we can loudly acknowledge that what they're doing is really great and we support it and we're encouraging them, that's such a beautiful gift. Are there other people who gave you that encouragement along the way when you met them that it really inspired you to keep going, even if it was just a moment in time?
I remember my first day, I always, and this always happens, I got a vibe from everyone. There was the happy vibe, there was the like overexcited, I can't wait to be friends with everybody ever vibe. There was the kind of I'm nervous vibe, and then there was the ELA teacher vibe. I don't know how to explain it
Your favorite vibe?
other than that. This is the best vibe ever. Um, I walked in to my ELA class, and I might actually start crying. Um, and I got this like energy. And it wasn't anything crazy like, oh my gosh, I feel it. It was
Mhm.
like I walked in and I saw this teacher and she was smiling a mile wide and she was like looking at everybody and wishing everybody a good year and she was hugging everybody and she was talking about how awesome we were and how we would go great places.
Hmm.
And she had this like Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift set up in her room. And I was like, yes, God, yes. And it was just so beautiful. And I asked her, how are you so positive on the first day of school? Like it's 8:30 in the morning and you still have your coffee thermos halfway full and you're just like, and you're still like hugging us and talking to us about how awesome we are.
Hmm.
And she just goes, because it's all true. Like it's hard to act positive when you're lying about what you're positive about. But when it's all true, it's like
Hmm.
it's like so easy to say this stuff.
Hmm.
And I was like, that is so true. So she's my favorite teacher ever, and she probably always will be,
Hmm.
other than you. And
Now I get to be mom.
yeah, so she really inspired me. Lisa Winsell, she inspires me so much. She is my friend Scotty's mom. She has a son who is he has special needs and he has a stuffed dog named Spillway. And when I was on, I think my third show, Kidlit TV, I met a woman named Lisa Winsell, and she had this positive glow everywhere she went, and she was being so nice, and she was talking to me about everything, literally everything. I am not exaggerating. And somehow a conversation could have like 20 concepts in it,
Hmm.
and it was so beautiful to be around her. And I met her son, Scotty, and her husband, Scott, and they were lovely. And
Spillway.
Spillway, I got to meet Spillway. I'm famous because I met someone famous.
A Dog and His Boy, I believe is the name of the book. And I know Lisa's really excited about your new book, Shelter Dogs,
Is it
because
time?
we can definitely
Is it
talk about
time?
Shelter Dogs. I know she's really excited about Shelter Dogs, and I bet Scotty and Spillway will be excited about it too.
I've got a
So
secret. I've got a secret.
you were so excited about being an author, writing the books. You'd written 3 books about wildlife, and you talked a little bit about your teacher. I know you have a 5th book that is in the works that is focused on your experiences
Can I say the
in
title?
not yet on that one, that is
Dang it.
super
Sorry.
top secret. So, you've got that one, the 5th book, but before that launches, you have your 4th book coming out July 21st, 2026. Tell me about the process. It's a 2-year process of writing this book, much longer than other books, but in part that's because it was a completely different kind of project. For this one, you really turned into a reporter as well as an author and a strong advocate.
It all started at the Howl of the Moon. Well, a month before the Howl of the Moon. I was talking to my dear friend Carol at the Humane Society, And
The Little Traverse Bay Humane Society.
yeah, to be specific. And we were talking about the Howl at the Moon because I had never gone. I didn't know what it was. And she gets this like idea in her eyes. Like,
She's that way. She's
yeah,
an idea lady.
like Taylor Swift. Like when she has like to people who have seen the Opalite music video.
Yeah, when she got the
Opalite,
idea because
yeah.
she was on the Graham Norton show.
And the guy was like, I'm hoping to be on the Taylor Swift music video. And she goes,
You literally see her go, and you're that way, and I'm that way, and Carol's that way too, which is why our electricity, it just
you can
goes
see
up.
it. You can see like everything is running through your
Sparks
brain.
fly.
And we were talking, and she goes, I'm just like, can you repeat that? And she's just like, sorry. At the Howl of the Moon, you can auction stuff off, paintings, experiences, stuff like that. What if you auctioned off names in the book? Like you can pay to have your dog's name or your dog's story written in the book. And we started having sparks and we were just like,
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. Because at that point in time, you had decided that your fourth book, because you were so inspired by the Humane Society, and we were in a place in our life too where we were welcoming a new dog into our family. And so I think that was on your mind too. And so you decided to write Shelter Dogs to give a voice to animals who are looking for we say in this house, we say forever home.
Forever home. I said nothing. I'm not good at puns.
So you decided to write Shelter Dogs. And then Miss Carol thought, you know what? In order to support our shelter, before you've even written the book, what if we get people excited to have the namesake of their pet in the book? So you went up, we auctioned off these 3 beautiful books, Foxtails, Foxtails 2, and Wolf Tales.
I've been on TV so much, not bragging, but that was the most terrifying yet exhilarating experience of my life.
Going up for the
Going
auction.
up on stage. Because it's one thing when you're on TV and you're like, I know that a lot of people are watching. But when you go on stage, it's a lot of people are watching.
They're
Like,
in the room with you.
It's a whole different experience.
Yeah, because there are hundreds of people. The Howl at the Moon event for the Little Traverse Bay Humane Society, which occurs every August here in Harbor Springs, Michigan, just right next to us in Petoskey. It's an incredible event to go to. And they do so well at fundraising for this incredible organization. So they did such a great job introducing you, bringing you up on stage. It was really, truly one of the highlights of the evening to have this opportunity. And you go up and I can't replicate the way that an auctioneer speaks personally.
Like a rapper, like.
And he was doing his thing. And we couldn't believe it in seconds time. And again, you can look on the social media for the clip because it's really amazing. In seconds time, it went from, bidding $100 or whatever they started at to $4,500, which was sold twice. So 2 different families bid $4,500 to have the opportunity for you to name one of the characters in Shelter Dogs after their pet. Not to write the story about their pet, but to name it. But that sparked a new direction because before that, you were just going to write stories that came out of your head about dogs. They weren't necessarily real dogs, but that experience sparked something when you were actually interviewing the families, because I was a part of the package, that you got to sit down with the families and talk to them about their pets that they wanted to have the namesake. So tell me how it evolved after speaking to them and after this experience into what Shelter Dogs, your fourth book that's coming out this summer, came to be.
It changed my perspective on the entire story. It went from like, I have to build the personalities to I have the personalities. That took away half the work, honestly. I feel like 70% of writing a book, I mean, more than half the work away. I feel like 70% of writing a book is building the personality of each character. Are they sassy? Are they meek? Are they a predator? Are Are they prey? Are they sort of sassy but protective? Are they strong but head first and figure it out on the way down? And so once I had the personalities, I grabbed that and I ran with it.
But I feel like you're not giving yourself enough credit because you had to do the running part, you had to run with it, and you had to embody who they were, and that is something that's really special about Shelter Dogs, is that each character has a completely unique voice. It sounds like that animal to a T. How did you get into those characters and make every chapter so different and so true to what you imagine the life to be in the perspective of this animal that was in a shelter that had gone through, a variety of different circumstances that brought them to that place, and then going along with them on the story as they navigate being in the shelter and finding their forever home?
I have no idea. I feel like the best answer I can give you is I lived their life virtually. I put myself in their situation or into their shoes or into their paws, I guess, and I kind of ran through their life. And at night, I would fall asleep thinking, like, wait, but what would I do? What would I feel like? There's 1,000 different things that a dog can live through. There's the perfect, like, beautiful, 1,000% everybody wants this pampered pup life. And then, but there's also that raised in a small kennel puppy mill.
Yeah, and you share those stories of puppy mills, you share the stories, like you said, of pampered pets who have a sudden change in circumstances and find themselves in shelters because each shelter pet has a completely different story, and you really did a fantastic job bringing that out, and then I had the very lucky and challenging privilege of being the illustrator for your book. Why did I illustrate your book, Amelie?
Why did you? Definitely free will.
Definitely free will.
Definitely.
I think it was something like, okay, mom, we had a wonderful artist do the first three books and they did a great job. And I will write my fourth book. It's all planned in my head, but I will only publish it if you illustrate it.
That I did not say that.
Yes,
I
you
did not
literally
say
did. You
that.
did.
I have no memory of this.
Otherwise, I don't know if that would have happened.
I have no memory of this.
You can debut the cover. You can show us the cover of Shelter Dogs.
Can I?
You can,
Can I
yeah.
trust you?
You can. We have it in sticker form here.
Oh, this is like the second time it's ever been released. Like, my favorite thing about it is the dog is ripping through paper. It's like, pow, I'm here, whether you like it or not. That's like what our dogs do in the morning. Well, it'll be like 6:30 in the morning, and you'll wake up with them like licking you or smacking you with their paws, and we're like, pow, I'm here, whether you like it or not. Feed me.
Well, I love that's one thing that I really tried to do with the illustrations, and I had to learn how to do because I did do art, when I was growing up. I loved to, draw and paint, but, had never done it professionally, and so this was a big ask, but I would do anything for you, so I worked really hard, and the thing that I wanted to make sure to capture in the illustrations was the movement and the personality of the animals, and so that was really important, and also to keep it childlike and fun and not perfect. We didn't want the artwork to be perfect, we wanted to be playful and to capture the essence of these animals, and so that's what we really tried to do, which again is what you did also with the stories. You allowed them to be full animals. It was a challenge because the books before are quite long books. They're really good for, I think, any age. But we've found kids who are 3, 4 like them being read to them, and kids who are 10, 11, 12 enjoy reading them, right? And even younger, 8, 9, 10. But they are longer chapter books, where you had a lot of real estate, a lot of space, on average 44 pages to tell your story. You only had 2 to 3 pages to tell each animal's story so that you could fit in the 13 dogs and that one sneaky cat that got in bullseye. So, what was that like also as a challenge as an author to tell the stories really, really concisely?
To clarify, Bullseye did not commit federal fraud. Um,
We do acknowledge that he is a cat in Shelter Dogs.
although he does like costumes, wearing that rainbow skirt.
He does, but that's because he's such a nice kitten and his human.
He's a goofball.
Yeah, his human. He is so funny. I love him, and I love, as your editor working with the designer on the book, one thing that was a new challenge with this book was how to order the stories to tell the story of their experience as well. And so Miracle, a local dog who was adopted, I don't want to give away everything, but his incredible story of Miracle's adoption. Miracle was actually essentially on hospice, was at the end of her life right before she was adopted, and had her wish list granted before adoption and after adoption by our amazing community in the animal shelter. And so Miracle is introducing us and says, "Hey, I have one more wish. And it's that I not only share my story, but the story of other shelter dogs that are also looking for their forever homes, and I think you would love to hear their stories too."
That's my masterpiece
It
in the book.
it's such a great introduction to this collection, but then we have this kind of curveball thrown at us because Bullseye, the cat's there and is kinda like, "Okay,
I
just
know.
I know how to actually get adopted, so listen up, everybody." So it's like a really fun way to start the book.
The last story, I don't mean to give anything away either, but you gave it away, so my turn.
Disco.
Yeah, Disco, my arguably one of the best stories. She she was a Dalmatian, and she actually doesn't get adopted. She she's sitting in shelter, and I think her last line is, "I can't wait to be adopted. Are you coming?" And that's the last line in the book.
Exactly. It invites the person who's reading to consider how they can be a part of what you're doing, advocating for animal adoption and taking care of animals, whether that's walking dogs at your shelter or spending time with dogs or cats. There are amazing programs where you read to pets, which helps you as a kid working on your reading and presentation skills, and it helps the animals so much. There's so many different things you can do up to adopting an animal. So there's so many ways that you can help animals on their journey. So what do you have, Amelie? It's been so exciting to talk about Foxtail series with you and upcoming shelter dogs. So what is this summer going to look like for you? And how can our listeners be a part of this next chapter?
The next summer, it's gonna look again like pow, 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 pow. I'm gonna be going to Portland with a handful of other authors to talk about their books and my book, Shelter Dogs. And also, I'm doing farmers market this year. It's gonna be extra fun. We bought these white boxes, and we are starting a collector series of dogs. We're going to buy stuffed animals, and you can adopt them for a certain price. But the thing is, you don't know which dog you get. And we only come there every time we have farmers market, which is once or twice in the whole season. So you can buy a bunch of them, or you can buy one or two or one, and it's adopting a dog. And it has a question mark on the box, and there's a picture of every single dog that will be displayed on the table. So, like, these are the things that you can get, and they will be named after the characters in the book. There's going to be a Miracle, definitely a Disco, Henry.
You are so into stuffies.
I am.
So you're just so excited. You've been really wanting to have stuffies be a part of your merch for years. You have asked for a long time.
Yeah.
And Shelter Dogs was a really great way to get that started and to have it be actually like an animal adoption. So, because sometimes families aren't ready to adopt a forever friend for some reason. So it can be a nice step to just adopt a stuffy and then have that conversation. So I think that's a really fun thing. And also, they can snuggle their stuffy while they're reading Shelter Dogs. So with Shelter Dogs, so all of your other books have been fundraisers. Shelter Dogs is also a fundraiser, but it's an even bigger fundraiser than before. So what's happening with 100% of the profits for Shelter Dogs?
Going straight to animal shelters, everything. Whatever they need, new kibble, more beds, more water bowls, whatever they need, the cost of Shelter Dogs will cover it.
Yeah, I was speaking to our local shelter, the Little Traverse Bay Humane Society, and they were saying, because it will be $20 per book when you buy the hardcover physical copy from us at a market or from whatever animal shelter you are at, whether it's a humane society, SPCA, your local animal shelter. So if they are carrying our books and you buy it from them, that's $20 donation for them. And that $20 donation can be a spayed procedure for a cat, which does a world of good for animals because it helps control populations so that our shelters are not full and these animals have somewhere to go. So it's incredibly important to be able to not only provide the food and shelter, but also be planning for the future of these animals, which these shelters are doing an incredible amount of work to help protect not only this generation of animals, but future generations. So what they pointed out to me was $20 per book. That's a For a fundraiser, that's a big deal to have that much come out, and families get to go home with this is not the size of the book, it's gonna be a nice size. They're gonna go home with a beautiful hardcover and inspiring book that they can keep themselves or can be a present for their school, library, kids, grandkids, neighbor, teachers, anyone. So it's just a beautiful way to spend $25, which is going to be the price of the book. It's a great way to raise money that goes straight to the Humane Society. And certainly we wanted to mention that if you have an animal shelter in your community and they don't have shelter dogs or they haven't heard of shelter dogs, but you work with them, please let them know and contact us. Go to amelieanastasia.com and click contact. Go to Shelter Dogs book on Instagram and contact us there and let us know, hey, we want to have these books in our shelter and we can ship them to you. We can bring them to you. You're going to be doing things like Zoom talks and in person events to fundraise, anything you can to get the word out. How are you feeling with your fourth book coming out and knowing that all of the profits are going to go towards helping dogs and animal shelters, which has been something that you have been just advocating for and donating to since you were 4 years old?
I feel like it's full circle. I mean, they've been introducing dogs and cats and, I don't know, different animals to our families and communities for such a long time. And now the stories of those dogs that they helped get out of the hard knock life, it's coming straight back to them.
Hmm. Well, Emily, I am so proud of you for all the work you do, not just writing the books, the bravery to share your story, to get on stage, encourage other kids. You also have a podcast we didn't even talk about tonight, What's Up Young Authors, because when you came off the stage that first time, you said, I want to do this again because this was amazing. And I want to encourage other kids to do this because sharing my voice is so impactful, right? It's not about being on stage, it's about amplifying your message and helping with your mission. And you've always been focused on that. So certainly our listeners should check out What's Up Young Authors. You've had some time off from that as you finished up Shelter Dogs, but this summer you're going to get into full swing with What's Up Young Authors and get back into that. So it's really exciting. And you also have Shelter Dogs coming out. And also in the fall, you are going to start filming a special where you're going to shelters and talking to them about all the amazing things that they're doing to help with taking care of animals in shelters. You've got so much coming up. Where can our listeners follow along your journey? And also, again, as we said earlier, learn more about getting shelter dogs for their local bookstore or their local animal shelter.
So you can go to my website and contact us for more information or so that we can ship you a few Shelter Dogs books for your local Humane Society, animal shelter, or bookstore, or school, or library. And you can also follow me or my mom on Instagram. It's pretty easy to get a hold of us. We're not exactly invisible.
We are present on the web, but we always try to keep it, very safe. You are not online managing your online presence. That is done for you.
Thank you.
Because that's not where you need to be spending your time. But as you mentioned earlier, social media, it can be a negative thing, but you can also use it for good. And you've always focused on creating content that will inspire kids and adults to help animals and help each other in their community and also share their stories. Amelie, is there anything else you want to share with our amazing Talks with Dr. Shafer community?
Talk with Dr. Shafer.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. I think you have an amazing show.
Thank you. It's your first time on the show. You've kind of come in and said hi to people that you knew on the show because children's literature is such a small community. So sometimes I'll have a guest on the show and you're like,
Can I be here?
"Hi." But it's your
Or you'll
first
be
time
like,
on the show.
come here,
Come here. I want you to
come
meet
here.
this person. But it's your first time on the show. You did an awesome job. And I am so excited to watch you on this journey, telling your story and also amplifying the story of others as Shelter Dogs comes out on July 21st, 2026. And I also want to thank you so much for asking and insisting that I be your illustrator because this has been such an incredible opportunity to get to collaborate with you in this way. And I'm so excited for getting it out into the world and continuing to collaborate and sharing your important message. So thank you so much. I
Thank
love
you.
you.
And I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Stop doom scrolling and listen to a podcast.
And which podcast?
Hers. Talks with Dr. Shaver.
And What's Up, Young Authors. I love that. Amelie, thank you so much for being on Talks with Dr. Shafer. Oh, I love you. You're the very, very best. And thank you.
I love you.
Oh, you're the very best. And we love you too, our listeners. You mean so much to us having you in our world. As Amelie said, follow along. You can check Amelie out and learn more at amelieanastasia.com. Following Amelie Anastasia writing on Instagram, What's Up Young Authors on Facebook, What's Up Young Authors, the podcast, available wherever you enjoy podcasts, as well as on YouTube. So you can watch the audio visual as well as just listen along, whatever works best for your family. Very family friendly content. And you've even filmed episodes internationally. You filmed in Europe. So it's really, really, really cool content that you have there about amazing children's literature and storytelling. So thank you so much again, Amelie, for being on Talks with Dr. Shafer. And thank you so much to our listeners for being here. Until next time, stay safe and take care. I'll talk to you soon.